CBS Sports put this out there. Ben Lieber, a former Vikings linebacker, went on CBS Sports Radio and gave this quote about Kirk Cousins. He said, I think he, Kirk, is finally going to thrive, really thrive in a system and with a coach that actually respects him. It's not like I'm breaking news here that Mike Zimmer did not like Kirk Cousins. And man, I'm excited to watch Kirk Cousins this year. I think he's potentially going to have a breakout year or maybe the best year of his career. And that leads me to a question on Patreon. Remember, go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. It's $1 a month. That is how you write into the show. ETN says this on Patreon. Hey, Zach. First time joining the Patreon and plan to stay. Here's something about me. I am a massive defender and truther of Kirk Cousins. I feel as he is easily the most disrespected quarterback in the NFL. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's been for years. You can check the Twitter account at QuarterbackDataMine and search up Kirk. He takes care of the football, and in 2020 played behind an offensive line that was ranked 4th worst in pass blocking and 6th worst in 2021. He has had a notoriously bad offensive line that makes it way tougher to play quarterback. In spite of that, he still puts up high completion percentages, is extremely consistent, rarely turns the football over, and still remains very accurate with pressure in his face. He is the last of the problems on the Minnesota Vikings. If you or anyone else still has skepticism, read this stat. The Minnesota Vikings would have went 15-2 last year if they didn't give up any points within the final 2 minutes of either half of any of their losses last year. He does have great wide receivers and has had them, so you can't argue that. But Zach, I want to know your opinion on Kirk Cousins before and after reading this post. Do you think he is a top 15 quarterback when evaluating the positional group as a whole? I think he is top 10, but curious on your thoughts as a whole. Is Kirk top 10, top 15? I don't care. I really don't care about the distinction. You're kind of splitting hairs there. Okay, I got one problem with Kirk Cousins we'll talk about in a second. However, I'm so excited to watch Kirk Cousins in a new offense this year. Kevin O'Connell is head coach. He's a former quarterback who worked with Sean McVay. And I look at this new situation with Kevin O'Connell and the next couple of years ahead for Kirk. This is the best opportunity Kirk Cousins is ever going to get in his career, where I think he could produce similar to Matt Ryan's MVP season with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. He's got Dalvin Cook at running back, receiver Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen out wide. They're both awesome. And Mike Zimmer was not a quarterback-friendly coach. He's a defensive guy that saw offense as Mike Zimmer saw the offense as an obstacle rather than a weapon. He's a defensive guy who we want to run the ball and protect the football, and he wasn't aggressive. He didn't trust the quarterback. He didn't want them to throw the ball very much. Was it about Kirk? Maybe. I think Mike Zimmer just wouldn't have really liked any quarterback he's had because he doesn't trust quarterbacks at all. So, like I said, that's my opinion and impression is that Kirk is, poised to potentially have the best year of his career this year. And I'm really happy because it's been a long time since Kirk was really put in a position to be massively successful. The coach who believed in him and built an offense to fit him and let him kind of shine. Although I will say this, man, here's my problem with Kirk Cousins, other than the fact that Kirk Cousins is a really clunky name and hard to say. The problem is that I think he gets really tense and nervous in big moments. I look back to the moment where he kneeled it once instead of spiked it. And you think about, I think it was the Bears game last year with a really bad pick six. I mean, there are moments where, was it last year? Was it 2 years ago? I don't know. There are moments where optically Kirk Cousins struggles in big moments. And I think it's because he gets really excited and pent up and nervous and doesn't know how to manage those nerves very well. I think he probably needs to talk to a sports psychologist who would help him a lot. But that's my deal with Kirk Cousins. It's not that he's bad. He's certainly really good. But I don't know that he's the kind of guy I want to have the football with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Certainly he's not the first person I would think of in that scenario. And I don't know. I really hope that Kirk can have a great year and change the narrative about him this year and really just show the world that in the right offense with a coach that believes in him, he can be incredible. But again, I go back to, like, there are moments where Kirk has had opportunities at the end of games or in big moments, and when the pressure's on, I think he gets in his own head a lot and kind of wilts, and that's a problem. And I don't know what you do about that. That's an honest thing that I think is a problem for Kirk Cousins in general.